Good morning, and welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be, I guess it would technically be a top 10, but it's a top 5 from each of us, and we'll be doing several of these videos, so make sure and watch for that series pieces to come up. But today's is going to be a top 10, top 5 each of things that we wish we had known before our first trip to Disney World. And I really hope that the things that we experienced and we learned will help you through navigating planning your first trip. So, want to get started?
Sure.
Let's get going. Alright, so as I said, we have each picked our top 5 things that we wish we had known before we went to Walt Disney World. And we'll do my first 5, and then we'll do Sam's 5, but we will talk about a little bit about things in between, give a little explanation and what we found since learning these things and how you can help make your trip a little bit easier. So here's we go. So my number 1 was, I wish that we had looked at prices more. Something that you may not know about our first trip is that he didn't want to go. Literally, I had begged and begged and begged. And finally I said, look, we can get military tickets. We can get a military discount on our room. We can drive. We can pay out of pocket. Here, please make this my birthday present. And this was back in 2014. And he finally went, fine. If we go, will you shut up? And I'm like, yes, I won't ask again. So I was trying to do this trip pretty much as cheaply as humanely possible, because everything that we set back was, I think it just made you mad. FYI, he loves Disney now, so it's not a big deal now. But I really wish that we had sat down together and looked at pricing, but because he really didn't want anything to do with the trip, I really was doing all of the planning by myself. So I really wished I had looked at pricing more, especially when it came to food, because the food is expensive. And I wish we had known that some of the things we could have split, and where the places were to split some of the bigger meals. And some of the things that are great meals to share, Magic Kingdom at Columbia Harbor House, they have combo platters, and they have a 1, 2, and 3, and there's chicken nuggets, there's chicken and fish, and there's chicken, fish, and shrimp. And if you ask, they will just put it on separate plates for you. So I wish we had known that we could have done that, because he would have eaten the fish, I would have eaten the chicken, and it comes with 2 sides. And so we could have each had a meat and a side, and we could have had free water. And that is something that else I wish I'd known, is that all of the counter services have, they're a kid-sized glass, but if you want 4, they'll give you 4. You can get all the free ice water you want, and it's filtered, and it doesn't have the funky Florida taste. So that's something that I really wish that we had known and looked at more. Allears.net, which I will link in the description below, is a great resource for prices. Mm-hmm. Do you have any comments on that one?
I also, on my top 5, did have price of food as well, because really we did not have any idea what we were walking into with prices on everything. We didn't know about some of the things like, the big combos like a Flame Tree barbecue.
Oh, that's another good one in Animal Kingdom.
Or Cosmic Rays chicken and ribs combo
in Magic Kingdom.
Or the size of Casey's hot dog.
Yeah, that's another good one. Yeah. So if you look, you can find, especially like in the summer when you don't want to eat a whole lot, there are a lot of places that you can find that if you're paying out of pocket especially, that you can split something, and maybe, a couple hours later you can eat something again later. That's my number 1. My number 2 is, I really wish we had walked more before we went. on average, and I have a Fitbit Versa. I've had a Fitbit on every trip that we've went on.
Yeah.
And I upgrade through the years. Currently I have a Fitbit Versa. It's not on today. I get a weird rash from eczema, so I have to take it off for a few days and kind of let it reheal. But on average, we typically walk between 15 to 20 miles in the course of a day. Yeah. So I would say, if not before, but at least at like your 101 days before vacation, which in the Disney community, that's referred to as Dalmatian Day. Start walking. Even if you go on a half an hour walk as a family, every night before you go, you're going to be so much more prepared because you do not realize how much walking it is. It's massive.
I'm on my feet every day, so to me it really isn't too much outside of the normal.
I am the office manager for a business in town, so I literally am sitting for 6 to 8 hours a day, and then I come home and then we sit and watch a movie. So we really try to make sure, and it helps us both, and it's fun, especially when it's cooler weather. It's a nice way to talk about our day and whatnot, and we can walk down to the park. Sorry, thought something got in my eye. It's a nice way to kind of talk about the day and reflect, and we're not that far from our local park, and it has a nice loop that we can just walk several times. So, my number 3, I wish we had listened to the cast member at Hollywood Studios on the first day.
Yeah.
We had, when we went, the military tickets only had the option for a 4-day. And Sam surprised me with an extra day. Sorry.
That's going crazy.
Peaches sees a bird out the window, and some of the birds know she's there and like to kind of drive her a little bananas. Come on, baby girl. You're okay. You're alright. The bird is not going to hurt you. And we told him, he's like, oh, but you already have a 4-day ticket. And I'm like, but it was something, and I don't remember the exact conversation of how it went. But the gist of the conversation was, you do not need to do a park day the same day as a party. And he's like, you will be too exhausted to be able to enjoy it, especially for your first trip.
He was right.
He was right. And we actually have taken, that advice since. We do not do a park day on a party day. If we do anything, we'll get up late, we'll have a character breakfast or lunch at one of the monorail resorts, and depending on what time of year it is, there's always some sort of special decor.
Oh yeah.
So we always enjoy kind of just doing that and relaxing now. So to the cast member in 2014 who told us and kind of laughed at us as we went into the park, you were right. We bow to the cast member's experience, and we should have done that then. But I was excited. He wanted me to shut up, and that was like $225 that we could have spent on food. That's where part of our food budget went. So I really wish we had listened to the cast member at Studios. If you have like an annual pass or something, or you're staying on property and you don't really care, you could go do an extra magic hours, I guess, at the morning resort and go back to your room and rest. But to me, it's a waste of a park ticket. But
otherwise, yeah.
I mean, it's up to each individual family what works for them. Number 4 for me is on property is the best, and that is subjective.
I'd say I'm even on the fence a little bit on that one sometimes. So,
and I think it depends on 1, the time of year you're going, 2, what the situation is, and 3, what kind of deals you can find. We've stayed on both, and I do prefer on property because you don't have to deal with navigating traffic. If we decide that we want to have a drink at Epcot, we don't have to worry about then getting back to our hotel. Not that we drink.
Well, the 4 I'm mainly thinking of would include all that as well.
Okay.
I'm thinking of 4 hotels for technically off property.
Now,
the Swan and Dolphin, they're technically off property because they are not owned by Disney, just like the Waldorf Astoria Orlando and the Four Seasons. They are still on Disney property. They still get all the benefits of being able to book fast passes
at 60 days.
Getting the extra magic hours. You just can't get the dining plan with it.
Or Magical Express.
Right.
And
but normally those do have their own.
Right. Those have their own caveats as well. And so, like I said, it's subjective. Even between the two of us, we can't agree. And I think that's why we end up off property and then on property, just to keep a balance of what we do and making each person happy. And the number 5 thing, and this is something that I have to remember, cast members don't know everything, and sometimes you're going to know more than them.
Seems like especially the ones you sometimes get with the call center.
Right. Something to remember is that the Disney call centers may not be a call center. Sometimes you will get someone who is a cast member, but they are actually working for Disney out of their home. I called to ask a question, and the lady's daughter was throwing up in the background. That was interesting. I felt bad for the lady because she had to be at work, and her daughter was sick. But if you are trying to find out an answer for something, and the answer that you're getting does not sound right or conflicts with a lot of information you found online, you can always try calling back to get another cast member. And that's something I really wish I had done for our first trip, because what I had read was there was military discounts for the rooms at Disney World. And when I called to ask, the lady I asked, I don't know if she was having a bad day, if maybe there was she had something against the military, but she literally started yelling and screaming at me over the phone that there was no types of military discounts. Disney didn't do that. She didn't know what I was talking about, that military were entitled as it was, and it kind of went on, and it almost turned us off of going. But by that point, we had already bought our tickets from MWR, from on base, and there was really no going back. There was no getting our money back. So we booked at the Clarion Lake Buena Vista, which was still...
Which is still closed.
Oh, it was still
closed. It's not a bad
closed.
hotel. It's got... or at least used to have free parking.
And it's a Disney Good Neighbor hotel, and it's really not that far from the park. So if you're looking for an inexpensive stay off property but still closed, check out the Clarion Lake Buena Vista, and I will link their website in the description below. But I called back because we decided to add on an extra night, and because we had booked through Expedia or Priceline, we could not edit the reservation. So Sam's like, well, why don't you call and see if you... Because we found where one night was like $99 at All-Star Movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, by any chance, do you happen to have a military discount? And the lady was so nice and so pleasant. And she's like, yes, we do. And she was telling me all about it. And I told her about the experience that I had with this other cast member. And she goes, are you kidding? What day did I know anything? And she was actually able to go back and find, because Disney does record their conversations, in case something comes back and go, hey, I was mistreated by a cast member and I need you to look into this. They can find the conversation. They gave us a couple extra fast passes because, of the situation. I mean, at that point we had already paid and it was non-refundable. But, so we did one night at All-Star Movies, the day that we got there.
Which Movies is nice. I can't complain one bit about.
Mm-mm. It was fun. I will insert a few pictures now that we took on that trip around the All-Star Movies property, just so you have a little bit of an idea of what it looks like if you've never been. A disclaimer, some of these might look really dark just because,
there was a storm coming in.
There was a storm coming in. And literally on one side was pretty blue sky, and on the other side it looked like it was about to unleash hell. And so I will insert those pictures for you too. grumpy in a few of those, but you do have to understand
I just driven 26 hours straight.
And before that, he had been up at 4 a.m. to go to be at work at 5 to get off at 11. And we were on the road by 11:30. So this guy had not had any sleep in like 2 days. So he's a little grumpy. And again, he didn't want to be there that first trip. But all this changes, and he'll tell you why.
All that honestly changed because Disney was nothing like I honestly expected. I remembered seeing videos of the characters more free roaming the park and coming off of active duty, where I was in a highly specialized unit. It was more of a knee-jerk reaction. If somebody grabs my shoulder or something, I'm going to turn around and slug. Where, the character interaction was not what I expected, thankfully. And, in the time since, it's now in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, it won't be an issue simply because enough time's passed that I have better control over my reflexes.
Yeah.
But, honestly, the character interaction, and especially with the character that's no longer there,
sad,
honestly changed my whole opinion of Disney Day 2 when we were in Epcot.
Who was it?
One of our favorite dogs meets there now. Pluto meets there now.
Daisy sometimes meets there.
And Daisy meets there now, but at one point, Duffy the Disney bear.
And if you don't know who Duffy the Disney bear is, we will link about Duffy in the description below.
Just completely interacted as if I was another kid, and opened my eyes to see the difference, the Disney difference.
We had a big pen. It was probably about 12 inches long, and it was about that big around. And we had picked it up at Dollar Tree because that way they have some of the characters need something bigger to hold on to. He would just sit and play with. He just played with it, and Sam was taller than Duffy, and Duffy didn't like that.
Mm-mm.
So
Duffy kind of was like, get down.
He literally pushed on his head and made him get down. It was, and I will put some photos of that, at the end of this video so that you can see those.
My second one for things I wish I knew before was price of food, which we've already talked about, so I really won't go into benefit that much there. 3, what would be the benefits of staying on property, because you've got the free transportation back and forth to the parks instead of having to pay the $20 a day for parking.
It's $25, and it's all subject to change.
Well, it was $20 at that point.
Right.
And just the other benefits that come with staying at a Disney resort or a Good Neighbor resort that's inside the Disney bubble. My number 4 is the more adult side of Disney. Not the risque like you would think adult side, but the side of like Epcot and the side of studios to where you've got more of the adult interaction. You've got more stuff there for people that like the older films, people that enjoy the culture and foods from around the world, things like that, as opposed to, great, I see Mickey Mouse everywhere. Which, now, yes, I see Mickey Mouse everywhere. But sometimes that's, finding those hidden Mickeys is awesome, too, so.
And sometimes, I think, even kids need a break. It's Disney World, in and of itself, it's overwhelming for an adult. And sometimes you just need a break. And being able to stay on property, just to jump on a bus and go back to the room, even if it's for a couple hours, just to take a nap or take a swim in the pool and just kind of be for a little bit is helpful. We've done that several times.
Mm-hmm. And my 5th one is something that I've learned more and more about as time has gone on. The Disney overall, whether it's Disney Paris, Disneyland, Disney World, Disney in China, Japan, wherever, probably even the cruise lines have Dapper days in which you can dress up and not be the only one dressed up in the park, and it's honestly a cool experience that you can become a part of.
And it's not really a Disney. It's not put on by Disney. Disney gets involved with it, but it's like you're dressing up like you're from the 50s. How they would dress and go to the parks in the 50s.
Well, it's everything from vintage to modern. Just being dressed up.
Right.
Which, my personal style, most of the time, is going to be more refined or more dressed up.
And I'm more in a tank top and shorts.
So some of her pictures are kind of funny, but...
But it's how we're comfortable.
Right.
And the other person knows that. And there are days that he will wear a character t-shirt, and there's days where I might dress up in more of a nicer outfit. It just depends on the day.
So, I think that covers our top 10.
So, those are our top 5 each. And what do you think? Of all of them, do you have a favorite character that really changed your opinion of Disney? Or did it affect your spouse in a way you never thought it would? I will tell you, I was trying to cram anything and everything into those days because I thought it was the only time I'd ever be there. It wasn't until our drive home that he was like, okay, when are we going back? I honestly thought the world was coming to an end because I was so stunned. But tell us below, what are your top 5 things you wish you had known before your first trip? Or have our top 5s each in any way helped you with your trip? Let us know in the comments below. Please share with your friends and family. Please hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified of all of our videos. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Paper, Scissors, Vacations, Am I? Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the theme park.